Now, my top fives of 2021, of course, the word already shows it's a personal rating. Unfortunately, or fortunately, we will see that today, these are very subjective criteria. It's not about objective assessments. These customers have neither been particularly successful or especially successful. I looked into a couple of customers and I decided that for 2021, these are my favorites, my best use cases of this year that stood out to me. So it's very personal. Please don't be mad. The descriptions here are in German and the texts are all in German. But I think the arguments and my reasons will be interpreted into English perfectly, so our foreign guests from other countries, our international guests, will also be able to follow. Now, the first case that I really like is Billigerde. We will talk about the 4 levels of AX customers later. How do they develop and evolve once they start working with AX over time, over the years? Billigerde.com has been our customer for a couple of years, so they have made a lot of progress in this evolution. And what I really like is the structure that Billigerde uses in this automated text. This is just a partial screenshot. The actual text is much longer. And this is about a Philips product, a vacuum cleaner for the floor. And we can see very well structured contents here. We have this in a nutshell part, auf den Punkt, where we really have a focused phrasing of the contents. Then we have other contents too. Wissenswert is a did you know section and a list of product advantages or features that are product benefits for the customers. And then in the end, and that's very unique, and for me, this is really part of a comparison shopping website, is the pro and con list. A business that also wants to be a consulting business, because they are a comparison shopping website, really needs this feature, I think. So these are the advantages and the disadvantages for shopping. Here we can see, for example, it's a disadvantage, high volume. Of course, this has been automated by AX. So if the machine is over a certain volume level, then it will be listed down there as a con. Oops, wrong direction. Okay. The second use case is Uronics, a group purchasing organization for electronics. I really like the structure of this text here that ends with a recommendation to purchase. Why should I buy this product? And then this text really refers to the storage and the RAM of this computer because it's particularly large. So again, I take the feature list and pick out the information that's really key and really interesting and sum this up again in the end as a purchasing recommendation. I could, of course, reinforce this by saying our experts recommend this product because of, and then you list the advantages. What I have also liked is that we have several paragraphs here with cross headings that are beautifully prepared. And this is a helpful visual anchor for readers. This is another reason for me why I really like this product description and why they made it into my top 5. Robo Expert actually made my decision really easy. Now, why is that? Because they have made sure that we can see at a glance what the colleagues at Robo Expert do with our machine. They have summed up the benefits of Robo Expert here in this benefit list. Why should we buy this product here at Robo Expert and not anywhere else? They say 100% lowest price, there's a free shipping to your home and you can pay in rates, and then we can turn this with a button into a conversion. this text is not repeated anywhere on the different pages. It is built based on the various benefits that Robo Experts promise to deliver. And this is another feature that really turned this into a favorite for me, and why I've put Robo Expert into my top 5. Of course, the bold letters in the product description also really help the reader. That's another benefit. I can just skim the text and see what is special about this product, or could be relevant, which features could be relevant. And I find that really helpful and beautifully done here. Of course, the HTML function also helps for the features of the product. And this is how the text was written in bold. The fourth example, we're just rushing through this. This has been a constant favorite of mine for a couple of months, SkatePro, because they have really proven how fast we can implement this. You have to know there's just one employee working for SkatePro, Tudor, who has managed to write 3,300 product description in just 1 year with 17 languages. So we're talking about 75,000 product descriptions that this person generated without any language knowledge whatsoever. He really got to know the system, so he could resolve this in various languages. He made sure that the statements are similar, the structure of the text are similar, and this also helped them reduce the questions that the support center gets. We can also see this regarding technology when it comes to clothes, for example. We're talking about extreme sports here. And if they are using a certain technology to make clothing windproof, for example, he always phrased it in the same way in every language and adjusted it for all manufacturers. So if there was one technical detail for one manufacturer called A, but it actually meant the same, it was the same fabric, the same function, but the other manufacturer called it function or feature B, then he unified, harmonized this and said, okay, this jacket is windproof because they're using this and that technology. And he made sure that they don't no longer use different names. Maybe once is called a mesh to help the foot breathe, and the other one said it in German and didn't use the word mesh in German. And this really helped reduce the number of questions that the support team receives. It's interesting because it collides with using SEO. This actually didn't have a negative impact on SkatePro. It actually increased clarity for the user. So this is why they are number 4 or maybe number 5 on my list. Okay, so this is number 5. That's my last one, or potentially my last one. Why do I like Reality so much? First of all, because they are tackling a topic that's really essential in this time of critical consumers, a new ecological awareness. We have to have the right text for these consumers. In this case, we're talking about fair fashion products. But the actual benefit that I have seen in Greenality is that products are described in the first person singular. You can see that beautifully here. I can make your wishes come true. I'm the Jessamine pullover by Kings of Indigo. I'm a fair trade product made in Bulgaria. So the product really tells a story from its own perspective. It talks about me, I. This is really unique, and it also resolved one big problem, and that is how will I address the customer that we have in German, because we have Sie and Du, so not just you. And you have to decide whether you want to be more formal or less formal. And in this way, they just turned it around and made the product tell a story and tell customers why it's so unique. They are the only customer that I know currently of who implemented this way. And this is how they have made it to my top 5. Now I am wearing a black turtleneck today, and there's a reason for that. So we have looked at the 5 examples, but there's one more thing. This is what Steve Jobs always said in the end of his presentations, and I'm quoting him here. Of course, I can't stop after 5. I have one more example that I personally have been really impressed by this year. That means a lot to me because the company behind it has really achieved something impressive and incredible throughout the whole change process. We're talking about the company Metav. They are selling tools to B2B customers online. They have automated their product descriptions. We can see that here for a tool of 2,500 millimeters. And to have this automation in the team with, I think the CEO always says 4.5 people because his son also helps out. Now they have a very small team and his son has to help out. It's not child labor, of course, but he helps too. But anyway, the CEO, Stefan Bayer, also went one step further and he also used another AX tool and changed the view for a first-time visitor. So they get a paragraph in the beginning that sounds a bit like this. Here, the various phrasings for this, various ways to phrase this, explaining why they, as the company offering this product, they would be a perfect partner and why they would love to work together with a customer. They are trying to build trust so the customer trusts the shop. And of course, that only makes sense for first-time visitors. People who have joined other meetups here with us at AX Semantics knows the example and knows how beautifully they have phrased their texts. So this is the one for the first-time visitor, and this one here is for the buyer, for those who don't know these examples yet. So maybe the shopper has put a product or several products into the cart, and now again on the product description page, they get a note, hey, if you order something for 500 euros or more, you can save the shipping costs of 8 euros. You can pay with these different methods. And then there's also a call to action, call to purchase, be quick, order now. Of course, we can always wonder how much does that really change? And Stefan Bayer has really helped us here with his post on LinkedIn. The feedback has been enormous. He has measured with AX metrics. So I'm pointing to the survey again. Please give us your feedback if you are using a metric system. So Stefan is using AX metrics and has realized that the engagement rate with the text has risen by 29% and the conversion rate by 55%. So if we say that 4.5 customers bought something once they got to the page in the past, now 8 out of 100 visitors buy something. And I know from other businesses that these are fantastic rates. And this rate has already improved by using automated text generation. And now with the personalization, this has even further improved by 55%, like I said. So this is really interesting. And these are my 6 favorites, my personal favorites. Of course, I promised in the beginning that we will have a look at how AX customers evolve over time. Where do they start? What's important to them in the beginning? What are their questions? And then we have 4 levels that we have identified so far regarding the customer development. So these are the 4 levels in content automation. If we want to visualize this, we see the following. We start with very simple product descriptions, categories, manufacturer. There are certain phrases, simply structured. There are no subheadings, no cross-headings. So we really have to tackle the content first, and this is how we start out. We then continue with bullet points, for example. So we use first structural aids, and we can see that we're moving towards conversion optimization. We have a call to purchase in the end here with the jacket that you really need. And then we have an example from Billigerde again, an iPhone text here that really shows, okay, what are the benefits? What are the disadvantages? This really helps to structure everything for the reader. And this also reflects the objectives of the business. If I want to be a neutral counselor, I can't use a pro and con list. If I want to be neutral, I have to think about what I have to offer to my customers on the content level. And here you can also get away from this content level and really see that we help develop the team on different levels too. Now, this is less beautifully visualized, but this is how the evolution looks. Now, let's have a look at the operational focus. In the very beginning, we see a product core description. I really want to make sure to describe my products at their core. And this is how all our customers, almost all of them, start, not with the category pages or personalization, even though that would be easier. By the way, personalization is much easier than a completed automated product description. Now, looking at the KPIs, it's really important to have full SKU coverage to look at the amount of the produced content. If I have 3,000 products, I have to create text as fast as possible. Then the actual problem at this level is solved. If we say, okay, we just want a text for every product, then we can do this. It's not about niches, about small amounts of text. No, it's about scaling. We have to resolve that problem. And this is the association that we have. If our customers want to know, okay, how can we resolve the problem regarding the scaling? Is it possible? This is how 90% of the customers today start out. And then there are two big development steps. Over time, when customers work with AX and they evolve, we have two developments. One, internationalization of content. They often start with one language. For our international customers, that's often English, but also other languages. And in Germany, of course, they start with German. And then either at the first level or at the latest on level 3, they start to internationalize their content on the one hand, and on the other hand, there's another development. The cost center teams, once the content problem has been resolved because it was too expensive, they had to make savings. These are usually the main arguments in the beginning. And then they really develop towards a profit center. And at the first level, this can be seen on the second level. We see changes in our customers. So this editorial aspect of what does the reader want to know is something, what does the reader really have to know about the product? We suddenly think about readability. Just think back to the second example, where we had bold text parts or cross-headings, subheadings. Uronics is also on this level at the moment. And for the very first time, customers also think about measurement, being able to measure something. They want to be able to see, okay, they didn't only produce a lot of content, they actually want to look at conversion. So more customers are buying products now since we have changed our content. People use the content, that's the content engagement rate regarding the content itself. So we also have to measure this. Of course, I can't just use Google Analytics for this. I will not get the results there. And we have also heard from teams who actually don't have access to Google Analytics. It's not always planned for these teams to have access to the data. So many of our customers are now also using our AX measurement options. And this is not least because it's really referring to the content level. And so we are getting to the second, to this in the second level here. For the first time, people have ideas like, okay, if I make the content, why do I take the structured information and the tables from the PIM and not from me? You read, okay, overall weight of the product, 18 kilos, for example, or another weight for a product, a TV, a computer. Why do not I enter this? Because the customer doesn't want to know this. We're not talking about the weight of a laptop here, we are talking about the shipping weight that's suddenly included. And if we want to change this, we have to talk to our neighboring team, even though that's on the product page. And this change process starts at the second level. And then it shifts towards the third level, where we can see that the team really changes their approaches and the way they think. They say, okay, we need better product descriptions that offer far more than just the core description. We need more. We are also rethinking SEO here. So SEO doesn't necessarily start here. It often starts in the first level, but at level 3, they really remeasure, recalibrate, and look at where they are at and where they started and set out. This is usually also the first time that they talk about return rates and service calls they want to reduce, so save costs in other departments too, and also look closer at turnover, at sales. And if we want to see the link here, the customer has reached the idea of increasing revenue. Revenue is a KPI and performance indicator. Okay, how much new revenue do we have? Where do we get it from? And how can we promote this through our content? And this is the pre-level. For level 4, of course, we only have a handful of customers that have reached level 4 so far, but these are the things that we are observing at the moment. All of a sudden, the team has become the owner of the product description page or product detail page. I am responsible for the product descriptions with all the contents, all parts, everything that I take from the PIM, the structured information is restructured by myself for the reader. And this is also important for revenue. It's not just used as a ready-made component and it's just up there. No, they also measure it and look at, okay, what do we have to include? They start to think in terms of customer advantages and benefits and describe them accordingly. And I think this has turned out really nicely at Billigerde, for example, the example that I had in the beginning. And so the content team really sees itself as a dynamic, as a moving team, because they are starting to think about other things. Okay, do I need other arguments for Christmas? Do I need new text for the Black Week than the weeks before? And do I have to change my text between the Black Week and Christmas again? Or do I have international customers and I only want to talk about Christmas in certain languages and use the word holidays or wintertime in other cultures or languages? And these cultural changes or adaptations, of course, are linked to internationalization, and that's also something we accompany our customers in since the beginning. But it's really about dynamic content. Also adapted to the pandemic. Okay, we have automated packaging. Our products are not contaminated. It's just one example. So dynamic content, be flexible, use KPIs, and this really changes the team. What's behind that? Well, a new orientation regarding the KPIs, and that's that the corporate strategy is really the core of everything they do. They want to use the KPIs. And the difference is that SEO teams often influence the text and focus on SEO targets and not on the revenue. Of course, we want them to overlap, but SEO indicators are not the core or the truth for the corporate strategy. They're just one part of the strategy. And in this case, the team really looks at the corporate strategy. And what happens in the end? Actually, the board, the CEOs realize that the content team, the automation is a strategic tool for revenue generation. And I think once the CEO starts talking about automation and the content teams in interviews, we have really achieved that. This just happened with Schäfershop. Andreas Reuter, the CEO, said that the content team is really something where the company stands out against their competition. You need perfect logistics. You have to be able to ship a product within 2 days. Your automation shipping processes have to run smoothly. Returns have to be uncomplicated. You have to have a lot of payment methods. And this way, they have really a broad basis and only look at hygiene, so to speak, and stand out from its competitors. And, or actually, the only way where they can stand out is the content. So once the CEOs really realize how important automation and the content teams are, we have achieved our goal.
Dann wäre ich erstmal mit meinem Vortrag durch und bin natürlich ganz gespannt.
Now this brings me to the end of my presentation. I'm looking very forward to your questions. Okay, I see that someone didn't find 8 Gs of RAM, not very large. That's true, that's an old page. Okay, what about our survey? Are there any questions, Heike? Yes, actually, I have a question. Now, talking about these evolutionary steps or levels, how much of this is just wishful thinking, and where are we really at the moment? That's a good question. Thank you. I think, of course, customers don't have this reality. They're in level 1 or 2. They are caught at this level. They have requirements and have to do certain things, and they're under pressure. Of course, we often hear the sentence, okay, I have to write 5,000 texts. They're under pressure. Everyone wants to see that everything will work in this automated way. And how should they have the time to think about where they want to go? How should they have the time to think about a vision and develop a vision? I think this is one of the problems. We have to be aware of these 4 levels where we see our customers so we can support them. Because they see, okay, I have a problem, I have to resolve this very fast, I have to produce my texts, I have a tab that can open and close, and we want them to move to a point where they say, okay, we can reach much more, we can achieve much more. Okay. All right. Okay, I see one question in the chat here. I would like to see an example about the information for the metadata. Marketing team, can you please give us an example where we used metadata for products? Yes, I was actually thinking, this is why I didn't say anything. We had a meetup by a fashion retailer, Fashion Retail 4.0. We had Leah from Gemoli, and she actually presented in a quite impressive way how they have used the text, which attributes they had as the basis, and how their text turned out. And you can actually re-watch the meetup. It's on YouTube. Maybe we can post the YouTube link into the chat here. Or has the team posted anything? Beautiful. Yeah, we can actually see how we can use metadata in a fashion environment. The presentation was, I think, 4 weeks ago, right? Exactly. And this was very impressive and very clear, very exemplary, I'd say. You can see what they used as the basis and how that can be turned into text. And it's 100% fashion. Exactly. Okay, another question. For examples. Okay, now the question moved. 1 second, someone posted something in the chat. Are there any examples of customers which have used AX for innovative content creation outside of the classic PDP and category PLP cases? Yes, personalization is one example. That's something that we haven't seen anywhere. Of course, this also is linked to PDP, so this is not a perfect answer, but we have one project with Shopgate to automate shopping cart dropouts, and then we have other e-commerce parts. We have a US American insurance company. We have credit rankings by credit companies. So these are examples outside the e-commerce world. And this is actually the strong suit of AX. We're agnostics. The customer can decide which text they want to use, where they want to use our copywriting services, as long as they have the right data. I hope that helps and answers your question. Please let us know how you like today's session. Are you happy? Was it helpful? You can also write in the chat what you would also like to see next time, what we should pay attention to. You can also tell us how you like our new studio. So we would be happy to pass that on to our colleagues. Thank you to Simultando for the interpretation. Great as always. Heike with our marketing team, beautifully organized, great job. And now, see you soon, and most of all, stay healthy. We'll see each other soon. Bye.